Hi, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my craft room. I'm going to be continuing on with my Interactive Elements of the Month series right after this. For today's card, I am using 2 action wobblers on 1 card. I have this fun set that has these cute little cats with very cute and punny sentiments, and I made this Mew Make Me Smile slimline card with these fun little cats and some fun die cuts, and you can even see some cute little knitting paper in the background. I just think it's fun. So I'm excited to share with you this card tutorial, and I hope you enjoy it. Here is my background. I unfortunately did not hit record when I started it, and it was my only paper or I would have done it again. I distressed it using these 3 distress oxides in a blue shade. And in the darkest shade, I went ahead and smushed it onto this clear block, sprayed some water, and splattered my background. And then I also used some blue metallic watercolor to give it some shine. So I have my background. I also have a die cut piece of this Slimline Hearts die, as well as the Circle Hearts die and a banner die for my quick strip. I also die cut Mew using my bold ABCs, and then here is the adorable cat stamp set that I am going to be stamping my images. So I will have everything down in the description below so you can see the exact name of all of the supplies I use, and if you want to purchase them for yourself, I will have links down below. So I've cut my slimline card base down, and I'm just going to adhere this slimline background paper to my card base. It is 8.5 by 3.5, and I'm just adhering it together with some tape adhesive. I'm going to now trim off just a little bit. My slimline paper is a little bit larger than my card base, so I'm just trimming that off using a guillotine trimmer. And now I'm going to adhere my heart slimline die cut piece to my card base. So I'm just going to use some wet glue, and I'm going to go around the edge of this die cut as well as some spots in between those hearts to make sure there is good adhesion. And I will glue that to the center of my background. I actually had this leftover die piece from when we did our cardstock warehouse hop, where I had a bunch of little hearts in kind of a rainbow fashion. So this was fun to use that actual die cut from that card. I always save my scraps. I have a piece of white cardstock, just some Nina Solar White here, and I am putting it into my MISTI, and I'm selecting the cat stamps I want to use. I thought it would be cute to look like this mom cat was reaching out to her little kitty, so I put those down as well as the 2 hearts. I'm going to be using ink on 3 as my ink. This Blackout ink is my favorite for alcohol marker coloring. It's the only ink that I've had little to no smearing, like absolutely no smearing with on this. I'm going to stamp it twice and just use my microfiber cloth to make sure I have a nice, good, clean stamped image. I'm going to be using my Spectrum Noir markers. You can see the colors as I have them here on the screen. I thought little orange and white cats would be pretty on my blue paper since they are complementary and they would stand out really well. So I'm starting with my lightest color, OR1, and just putting down some orange in different spots on my small cat. And then I'm going to bring in a medium tone, which is OR2, and I'm just going to add in some shading to my little cat's tail as well as those orange spots on the ears. Now, I've never actually owned a cat. I don't know if these are good colors for a cat. I'm like deathly allergic to them, so I will never actually own a cat, but I thought, you know what, orange was pretty with the blue, and I'm pretty sure I've seen orange and white cats before. So now I'm using tan as my darkest shade, which is TN6. It's not on the same color family, but I thought they were close enough that it would add a really nice bold shadow to my cat. Now for the white part, I'm using my brown grays. This is BG2, and I'm just outlining the edges or anywhere where there would be a little bit of shadow on the white part of my cat. And then I'm going to use my blender pen just to blend that out. That is the lightest color I have in the BGs, so I'm using my blender pen just to soften it up a little bit. Now I like to add cute little details to my cats, so I am bringing that TN back for its nose and then BG6 to add little spots onto the cat, just where it would be kind of shadow and just to give a little more texture to the cat. So I've done that for both cats, and here are the markers if you'd like to pause and get all the colors. And now for the hearts, I am going to bring out my dark reds. I'm going to be using DR2 as my lightest color, and since these are small hearts, I'm just doing 2 shades of the DR. So DR2, like I said, is my first color here, and I'm just coloring in the hearts. And then I'm going to bring DR4 out as my shadow and just outline the edges of the hearts, so the left side of the lines of my hearts, just to give it some dimension. I'm going to go ahead and show you those markers as well, and then I'm going to get out my paper snips and I am going to fussy cut these images out. I was a little lazy and didn't feel like getting out my scan and cut mat, so we're just going to fussy cut them. I have my sentiment Mew Make Me Smile from the stamp set, but since I die cut Mew, I am going to use a post-it note just to hide that on my stamp. I inked it up with my Onyx black ink, and I'm going to stamp it in the center of my quick strip, and there you can see Make Me Smile is now stamped. So here are all my die cuts. I'm getting everything out to attach. I'm going to bring out my action wobbles. I'm going to bring out 2. And I'm gonna make my little cats interactive. So I'm figuring out where exactly my layout is gonna be. So I place my heart on the bottom. I have the Mew, I have the sentiment strip. I'm gonna put my 2 little cats down, and it looks really good, but I felt like the Mew and the heart were just kind of not bold enough. So even though the heart was cut out of Kraft and the Mew was out of some sparkle cardstock, I decided to also cut everything out of black cardstock just to add a little extra oomph. I felt like they were really, really popping off the card now. So I'm going to use my fine tip glue and add glue behind my Kraft heart die cut, and I'm just going to glue it a little off center to the black. I'm gluing everything as if the shadow was towards the bottom right. So you could see on my heart that the black shows up towards the bottom right behind the Kraft cardstock. And the same thing for Mew. I'm going to be gluing down each of those letters so that way the black shows up off the bottom right. So I'm going to pull everything off. I'm going to attach the heart frame directly to the cardstock base. So I'm just going to add some precision glue to the back of that and adhere it towards the bottom center of my card. And then I am going to bring in my adhesive strips to attach my letters. I have different widths here, so I'm just going to trim down what will fit behind each of the letters. And then once those are all attached, I will also place some behind my quick strip. Now my quick strip was still a little wet, so I have to wipe off that ink, otherwise it will get somewhere I don't want it to be. And I'm going to place those onto the card base how I think they will fit nicely. So I have my Mew and then I have my Make Me Smile. So I attach down my quick strip first, and then I work on centering my letters. And then I'm going to peel off the release paper off of the E and attach that first in the middle. And then I attach the M and the W so I can make sure my sentiment is as centered as possible onto my card base. I'm going to place my cats about where I want them on my card, and then use my wet glue to adhere both of those hearts down. And now for the tricky part of making my cats wobble. I'm going to peel off one of them, and I pick up my small cat and I realize that my cat is actually a little too small for these wobblers. So I'm thinking in my head, what am I going to do while I attach the large one? So I attach the spring wobble to my cat, and then I will remove the release paper off of the other side using my reverse tweezers. And once I get that off, I will attach it to my card towards the left. And for my little one, I decide that I think I could still make it work because the actual spring is smaller than the cat. So I think I can cut it down. I'm going to bring out my big scissors. These are my favorite scissors to use when cutting really thick material, and I'm going to trim the sides of my wobble, making sure I don't touch that spring at all, because then that would just ruin the wobble. So you can see I trimmed the right, the spring is still intact, and I need to trim off the other side. It's still a little too wide, so I do the same thing on the other side. The spring is still fine, it's still working, and now it fits behind my small cat. So now I feel pretty confident about it. I am going to peel off the release paper. I'm making sure that there is enough adhesion to my cat, and I think it'll be fine. So I'm peeling off the release paper, and I will stick it behind my small little kitten. Doing my best to make sure none of that plastic shows. I want it to be hidden as much as possible. And then I will peel off the other side of the wobble, again using my tweezers just to help me get in there and pick up that release paper. And then I will adhere it down on the right so it looks like my little mom cat is reaching out for a hug to my little kitten. I'm testing them, they're both wobbling, and everything seems to be working, and I'm so happy about it. So I'm going to clean up a little bit here on my workstation, and I'm going to bring out some Catherine Pooler designed sequins mix called Romance. And I'm going to sift through and pick out some of these small iridescent looking sequins. And I'm going to place them around my card in different spots. And once I'm happy, I will use my jewel picker and my wet glue to glue all of those down. So let me pick up my sequins real quick here, and then we will look at the final card. I think it turned out really cute. I love the Mew Make Me Smile. I love the cats that are wobbly. I'm really happy with how it all turned out. If you enjoyed this card tutorial, I hope you'll click that like button. And if you're new to my channel, I hope you'll subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.